What's up, everybody? Coach Most here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down 5 agents that need buffs, nerfs, or reworks ASAP. These are going to be talking about the agents that need some direct changes by Riot. But go to the GameLeap website right now for in-depth tips, tricks, VODs, and everything you need to climb to Immortal or Radiant with ease. In-depth advanced guides you won't find anywhere else. Do yourself a favor and go check it out right now down below. Now, the first agent in question is not a character that I think needs reworks, but is definitely a character that needs huge buffs, and it's Phoenix. Phoenix has quickly fallen to the bottom of the pick rate in pro play, with a fat 0% in the majority of tournaments, making him the least picked agent. On top of that, even before Yoru's big rework that made Yoru a lot stronger and less of a troll pick in the eyes of the community, even before that, Phoenix was becoming that troll pick, someone that no one has faith in. And while the character is not much different than he was at the start of the game, unfortunately, he's been completely power crept out of this game to oblivion. I mean, his flashes are the weakest flashes in the game, incredibly easy to turn on, very difficult to use the character to his full effectiveness. It takes multiple of his abilities to heal him to full health, and all in all, this character could be that character where you can smoke off certain sight lines, clear certain cubbies, flash onto point, take a sight line, but his abilities need to be cheaper, they need to be more powerful. I think if you made his flame wall last more, his abilities heal him longer, his molly do more damage, his flash is cheaper, or hell, maybe even have 3 of them, you could make this character all of a sudden someone who is justifiably worth running. But right now, he needs help, and he needs help desperately. Now, that being said, I think it's only a matter of time until we see Phoenix buffs, because the community have been talking about it for quite some time, and I think you could still buff him quite a bit without him eating up any other duelist market shares all that much. Now, the next agent that we actually have to talk about is a recent fallen hero or fallen villain. It's Astra. Now, Astra was a character who was completely dominant and dictated the entire meta. Between her and Viper, not only did she see substantial play on maps that Viper didn't, but she saw tons of play on even maps that Viper did in a double controller composition. Now, with Astra's gigantic nerf, she has basically been removed almost entirely from pro play, and in ranked play, she never really saw substantial ranked play in the vast majority of ranks. Typically, ranks copy pro meta more and more the further and higher you climb. So a character that is very, very difficult to use, very tedious to use, sometimes even boring, and the cycles become very slow, I think was a character that a lot of people didn't want to play, didn't have fun playing, didn't play correctly, and it reflected in the pick rate of Astra in the majority of ranks, and even at the highest rank, she was played far, far less than the pro meta. Now, here's the problem with this character. Right now, we're in a really good spot where we have Viper, Brimstone, and Omen kind of splitting the pick rate. And personally, I think that balance is really hard to achieve, and it's healthy for the game. You have a lot of options. Viper's good on very specific maps. You have options between Brimstone and Omen depending on the map and what your composition is. And it's really, really close right now. However, if you rebuff Astra, right, all of a sudden, she is going to be eating up those other agents' pick rate in pro play. And the other problem is you would have to buff her so much in order to see her have substantial ranked pick rate, because even in her overpowered state, she didn't see any ranked play. She saw very little ranked play. We just talked about that. So if you think about it like that, you're gonna have a pro meta that looks very, very different from the ranked meta. And also, pros complained about it. Many people complained about the pro meta that Astra created, what she created, how she had very slow play. You had to keep playing default. You had to bait out all of her utility. And it was really slow, really boring. And from a spectator's point of view, I thought it was less interesting to watch as well compared to what we have right now. So here's the options. If we don't want to return to an Astra meta, we could leave Astra in the dumpster tier, which is effectively deleting the character because she's not going to see hardly any play. And that will be the end of it, right? We could do that. Or we could buff her slightly, and she might see a little bit of pro play, but she won't see any ranked play, which I don't think is a great idea either. Or we can completely rework the character in a lot of ways. And I think this is probably the best way to go about it. Change Astra fundamentally. while I do think that she was a very interesting character with interesting ideas, ultimately, you take her concept to its maximum effectiveness, and she's just a little bit too powerful for the game. I don't think she creates good play patterns, and yeah, I think it would be cool to rework her and slot her as a different controller, but I really want to hear your opinion. What would you do to Astra if you were in charge? How would you balance the game with her state, or would you just keep her in the bench? I really want to hear it right now down below. Now, the next character that we got to talk about that definitely needs buffs, a character that used to be at the top of the meta when the game first started, but in a lot of ways he got power crept like Omen, it's Cypher. Cypher has dropped down to about 10% pick rate in the majority of pro tournaments, and he does see still actually more ranked pick rate than that. However, he's just falling more and more, and it's obvious this character is pretty underpowered. There's a lot of maps that he doesn't see a lot of play on, and ultimately, the character needs some help in a very similar way that Phoenix does. Now, he's not quite to the point where every single aspect of him is power crept because he's so unique that's not going to happen. He's incredibly powerful at certain things. The problem is he just needs some buffs in some targeted areas. I think overall, making his abilities cheaper or making his ultimate more clear so he could be a little bit more proactive, or there's a number of different things you could do with the character that I think would just make the character a little bit better. Right now, he's almost there. He's like teetering on the edge. You make like 2 or 3 abilities a little bit cheaper, or you add some more flexibility to his kit, and all of a sudden his pick rate is going to climb. And I know many people in our comment section really want Cypher to be back in the meta again. And while I don't know how far you would have to go to make him dominant in the way he was before, I do think that they could do targeted things that would just make him a lot better than he is now, which is good enough for now. The next character that we actually got to talk about is Neon. Neon is very strange. She's in a really weird situation where she sees very little ranked play, but she is a fan favorite for ranked play. She's almost similar to Reyna. Of course, she sees less pro play. Reyna sometimes sees some pro play, and Reyna sees way more ranked play. But even still, Neon's in a really weird spot. I don't know if this is a character that was ever designed to see pro play, nor do I think that they want this character to be in pro play. I mean, it's like running and gunning like personified, right? I don't really think that that is the best way to go about balancing her. Just buff her to the point where she sees ample pro play. That would be not really great. However, I do think that she could use maybe a little bit of changes to her kit, some slight buffs, but nothing major for this character. I think she's in an okay spot for what she is. She's almost a character entirely created for more fun and entertainment rather than trying to dissect the meta in a very competitive way. But I really want to hear your opinion about what to do with Neon. I'm a little bit conflicted about this one. The last thing that we need to talk about is the characters that potentially need nerfs. Specifically, Tens went out on Twitter about Chamber, talking about how the Chamber op is, quote, a little bit too much when it already has a fast fire rate and it's free attached with a slow. So this is not like just a Tens idea. A lot of people have been coming out talking about Chamber being very strong, maybe even overpowered, and his pick rate is skyrocketing like crazy. Now, I don't think that Chamber needs any reworks or crazy things like that, just a little bit of nerfs. But right now, he's looking like the character that could disrupt the meta the biggest, and he's growing in pick rate so quickly that he needs to have a close eye on him. And I, for one, think just a tiny nerf right now would be a good way to slow down his momentum. But let me know right now how you feel about Chamber, how you feel about all the agents I listed, and if you were the balance lead, how would you buff and nerf all the characters that we talked about? Definitely let me know right now down below. And the GameLeap website is right there for everything you need to quickly climb to your next peak. You've been stuck in gold. You've been stuck in platinum. We have in-depth targeted tips and tricks for every single rank to quickly help you improve. So no matter what rank you want to achieve, you could do it really easily with the GameLeap website right now down below.